Welcome to the It's in Queens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and this is the only podcast that focuses on my borough of Queens. This podcast comes to you each week thanks to the Queens Tourism Council and the Queens Economic Development Corporation. Together, they showcase our borough as a destination complete with something for everyone who lives here, works here, or just wants to visit. Now, if there's one thing that Queens is rich in, it is sports. From soccer games in Flushing Meadows Corona Park to baseball at Citi Field, well, our borough is truly alive with sporting activity. And parks across our borough provide endless opportunities for folks to get involved, and there are a number of organizations that are dedicated to ensuring that youth in our communities have access to sports programs. But it isn't just about learning the game. It is about life skills, discipline, teamwork, and perseverance. One organization that's been making a difference in this arena for decades is New York Junior Tennis and Learning, or what's known as NYJTL. Founded in 1971, the organization is the largest youth tennis and education nonprofit in the country. NYJTL's mission is to develop the character of young folks through tennis and education for a lifetime of success on and off the court. And they offer programs that focus on the whole child, integrating sports with academics and enrichment activities, and placing a strong emphasis on character building and community engagement. And here to talk about the organization is this week's guest, Raiyan Nafee, NYJTL's Academic Program Director. Raiyan runs the Scholar Athlete program at NYJTL, and he also helped shepherd in a new satellite site at Cunningham Park in 2023 to better serve participants in Queens. Here's that interview. Raiyan Nafee, welcome to the It's in Queens podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to see you.
So I want to find out more about you. How did you get involved with NYJTL? What inspired you also to pursue a career in this field?
Yeah, I graduated from NYU in 2020, and I got my undergrad degree in social work. And so I was actually working at a nonprofit in Brooklyn called Opportunities for a Better Tomorrow. But I was just looking around one day, and I grew up in Astoria, Queens, and NYJTL's headquarters is actually about 5 to 10 minutes from where I grew up. Like I used to spend so much time around there. So I just saw the posting one day and that they were creating this new program called the Scholar Athlete program, and it definitely kind of just lined up with what I want to do. I'm very passionate about giving students opportunities. I was born and raised in Queens. I went to school in the New York City public school system. So I know the opportunities that are out there that not everyone gets to take advantage of or even knows about. So just seeing NYJTL, the program, what it wanted to do to give students a chance to, learn more and be more, it aligned with what I wanted to do. And so I applied. It's been 2 years, and it's been great so far. And, hopefully our program will continue to grow.
So as the academic program director at NYJTL, what's a typical day like for you?
Listen, every day is different. I mean, we work with 75 students all across New York, and they all have different backgrounds and they all want different things. And so each day is a little bit different. Different students are coming in each day for tennis practice, but it's not just that. I think like seasons are different for me. So like in the winter, we have students who are applying to high school, to middle school, to college. So, we'll provide them or I'll sit down with them and I'll help them generate a list of schools that are going to apply to, help them with like scholarship applications or read over essays. But along with that, I also do some stuff like off court with them where I'll coordinate different workshops for them or social emotional learning workshops, or we'll take them on trips to like see different people in the field, like who are doing things off court in tennis or just in sports in general. So we'll do a lot of different things just to make that student or all of our students more well-rounded as individuals.
And you had mentioned the Scholar Athlete program. This is one of NYJTL's signature programs. It was launched last year, or at least last year you launched a new satellite site at Cunningham Park. Talk a little about the initiative and the youth who are chosen as Scholar Athletes, how they get chosen.
Yeah, of course. So, to be a Scholar Athlete student, you are part of our programs. We have different programs in the community. We have ACEs after school programming in different schools in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. And, so all of these students are low income. Like I said, they all have to apply every year. They all have to try out. So they come up and they, meet with our coaches. We'll do different drills with them and our coaches will kind of evaluate them. But along with that, they'll submit the report cards, and all of our students have to maintain a certain standard of academic grades, of attendance, and they have to try out each year. So we want our students to kind of keep trying out and like be part of a cohort overall. And this year, like you mentioned, we opened up a satellite site in Cunningham Park at their tennis center. And it was really for our students in Queens. We have students who are from all over Queens. We have students in Astoria, we have students in Bayside, we have students in Elmhurst and Middle Village. So we really wanted them to have an easier commute after school on the weekdays to get that tennis training, that intensive tennis training, because all of our students, they're passionate, they love learning, and they want to get better at tennis. So that partnership with Cunningham has been great. They're a great team, they have great coaches, and it's definitely made the lives of our students easier and our families. And that's kind of what we were looking to do this year with that satellite, and we'll continue to hopefully grow on that the next few years.
And using that as a springboard for the next question, I mean, you're a Queens resident. How do you see your work influencing and benefiting youth from Queens?
I mean, like I said, we have students from all over Queens, and we getting a chance to bring them together. When you play tennis, and if you're playing tournaments or you're in high school or middle school and you're playing in your school's leagues, you get to know students. Every weekend you might be playing the same students over and over again, or you might end up pairing up with them for doubles tournaments, and that's something our students do. So just getting them to like bring together, and they're getting that high level training, but they're forming those bonds that last very much for a lifetime. We have students who have been with NYJTL or in the program for 2 years, but they might have been in NYJTL for a long time before that, so they form those bonds, and then they give back to our community tennis programs. And we have community tennis programs, like I said, all over Queens, so they go back and they're inspiring the next generation of students to go play tennis and then join our program and just be better individuals overall.
I'd like to know a little more about you. What do you love most about tennis? And can you even recall an incident or a moment when you first became interested in the sport?
Yeah, it's funny. I think about it now, the students I work with, they're all super talented. I don't think I'm ever going to be like the level of athletes some of them are. But for me specifically, I mean, my parents are immigrants. We didn't have cable growing up, but tennis was one of those sports growing up where it was on NBC, right? So you could just watch it on Channel 4. And so growing up in the morning, I remember like we'd watch, the Wimbledon, we'd watch Roland Garros, right? Um, Early in the morning on Sunday, we watch those finals. We'd watch Rafa, we'd watch Federer, we'd watch Djokovic. We'd watch Serena, we'd watch Venus, and like we didn't really know, or I didn't know much about it at the time. But the first time I remember watching it, I'd be like, wow, these people are so talented, and it's so cool. And now I see my students who get to watch these players, get to watch Carlos, they get to watch Carlos play Novak 2 finals in a row, right? And so for them, those bonds and that love of the game, just tennis is great because you get that love of the game. And it's an individual sport in many ways, right? Or maybe two people on a doubles, but there's a team behind you, right? You get all that support. To our students, they get that support from each other, from us. And we have programming 7 days a week sometimes, and students will stay after practice. So they'll like finish 4 hours of training. They'll stay back and just like come up to me or come up to Jay, who's the director of the program in terms of tennis, and they'll be like, "Can we get on court a little bit?" And like they'll like get random students each day, and they'll go on court and hit for like another hour or two, or they'll get the parents involved. So like it's very much a village. Like everyone has a village for them, and they have their own villages, and like they'll intersperse and like just try to get better every single day. So it's a sport that gives a lot for our students.
You use the word village, and of course, what then comes to mind is just the excitement, the environment around the US Open. Obviously, lots of excitement right now about tennis. What are you most excited about with the US Open this year?
I mean, listen, the US Open is great, and it happens in Queens, right? It's for so many of our students, it's in their back, like right in their backyard. They can literally head over Flushing Meadows Park, right? It's a great opportunity to see high level tennis. But I think the US Open also does a great job of catering to free events that you get to see these superstars or just be around them, right? The US Open Fan Week from the 19th to the 25th, we're going to take a bunch of our students up there. They'll get to see all these cool matches and just people all around them. And every year just going to the Open is a great opportunity to see people who look like them or who were in similar spots, right? I think back for me last year, we took a couple of students to see the quarterfinals where Coco Gauff played Yelena Ostapenko. And I remember I was sitting next to a couple of my students, and afterwards she was talking about like something as simple as like after the match she's gonna go and watch some like TV, like some anime, and they were like really like she's very similar to them, or she has similar interests to them. Or Chris Eubanks, who's an American player, he came to NYJTL before, right? And he's been a great mentor to some of our students. Some of our students still stay in contact with them, and he'll respond to them, right? And he'll like give them tips. And it's just these are great people and great role models who they get to see. They see them, they hear from them. With Chris specifically, and then you go and watch him at the Open. You're like, this is what it is, right? Chris Eubanks went to college, and then he went professional, right? It's just something for them to look forward to and like aspire to. Aspire to be great.
And beyond just the skills for the sport, what are some other things that students who are involved in your programming learn through tennis? Because it's not just, making them great athletes. There's so much more that youth take away from this.
Exactly. Discipline, right? Motivation, right? We have when you're an athlete and when you're in tennis, right? You develop that discipline and you develop those skills of like working with other people, of like being driven, of like setting yourself a schedule, right? All of these are like kind of like soft skills you're practicing every day, right? And then you kind of just want to hone in on those skills because they'll apply on and off the court, right? Our students, we want them to be that scholar in scholar athletes. So they'll maintain their good grades. They'll figure out ways to, do homework. Like when we have students who come into practice after school, they'll literally like right before practice, they'll come from school, do homework, in our classroom areas. We've had students in the summer who will have that discipline of taking summer classes, and they'll literally come in early to our center, do their classes in our classroom on Zoom. They'll be doing homework, and then they'll go practice, and they'll come back right after and do homework before they leave for the day, right? So when you set that goal for yourself and those aspirations for you wanting more, it just starts to translate everywhere.
And we're about to start the new school year. It's coming up shortly. Curious, beyond the US Open, what are some of the opportunities that NYJTL provides to you throughout the academic year?
Yeah, I mean, listen, one thing we do is there are a lot of standardized tests sometimes, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, students have to take, right? So in October, there's the specialized high schools admissions test, right, which is used for entrance to 8 of our specialized high schools in New York. So students, we provide tutoring for that, and that's not just open to our scholar athlete students, it's open to our community students. We send it out to our community in general, right? So we do standardized test prep for that. We have the SAT, we do test prep for that as well. We offer these services free to our students and to the community, right? And then, like I said, once the school year starts up, we will have students applying to middle school, high school, to college. So we'll sit down with our students and kind of help them prepare for that, right? One thing, like what I was saying before, is we want to provide students access to opportunities, or that's something that's very important to me because New York City does have a lot of great opportunities out there, right? Um, Even in Queens, there's so many great schools. There's like Townsend Harris, there's the Academy of American Studies, right? How do you get to these schools? You might not know, right? So for me, it's like once this year happens, the school year starts, I'm going to sit down with students, I'm going to help them generate a list and figure out this is what you need to apply, or this is where you are. Let's get you set up to get to these schools.
And speaking of access to opportunities, if any of our listeners, families, or youth would like to find out more about NYJTL, to find out how they can access these opportunities, where should they go?
Yeah, I mean, listen, one, check out our website. It has a lot of great opportunities and information about our programs. We have our community tennis program. You can go to nyjtl.org. And then if you want to check out my program, the Scholar Athlete Program, nyjtl.org/Scholar Athlete Program, check it out. It's great. Check out our Instagram. We have 2 different Instagram. One is NYJTL. The other one is Carrie Leads Tennis. And it'll highlight all of the work that we do and all of these opportunities that we have for students, not just in the NYJTL community, but the community at large.
Raiyan Nafee, I want to thank you so much for appearing here on the It's in Queens podcast.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a great chance to talk to you and talk a little bit about Queens and NYJTL.
I love talking about tennis, and that's why this month it is time to turn our attention to one of the biggest sporting events in Queens, the U.S. Open. The annual tennis tournament draws, well, I can't even give an exact number. Let's just say a ton of spectators and players from around the globe to our borough, making Queens a major sports destination this time of year. From Flushing Meadows to the neighborhood surrounding the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, the energy is palpable and the impact on our Queens economy is significant. But the U.S. Open isn't the only thing that's happening in Queens this month. There's so much more to do in the final weeks of summer. So if you're looking for something else to do this month, well, we have you covered. That's where Rob Mackay comes in. He's with the Queens Economic Development Corporation and the Queens Tourism Council. And each and every week, he highlights some of the more exciting events that are happening in Queens.
Hi, Jeff. It's that time of year when we can rock and roll and move and groove and walk a few steps away and catch a wave. That's because the Rockaway Beach Surf Music Festival is back for its fourth year from this Friday, August 25th to Sunday, August 27th. It all takes place at Rockaway Bazaar, and there are 9 bands set to play. Some of them are from as far away as Canada and Chile. Others are from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. And they're going to play such surf music genres as exotica, sci-fi, spaghetti western, and tiki. Yes, those all exist, by the way. To give you some of the names, one is called Party Nerves, one is called Trash Island, one is called Band of Others, Blue Wave Theory, Ninth Wave. It all happens from 5 to 9 on each night, August 23rd, 24, and 25. And Rockaway Bazaar, I should say, is on Beach 97th Street near the Shorefront Parkway, so it's on the other side. There is on-street parking. The A-Train to Broad Channel goes there, and of course the NYC Ferry actually has a shuttle option. So that's it, the Rockaway Beach Surf Music Festival all weekend. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Rob. And if you're going to head to the U.S. Open, please make sure to stop by the Queens Tourism Council's booth. Rob will be there, and there's going to be a number of giveaways. Now remember, the place to go to discover everything that's happening in Queens is so easy to remember. It's at the It's in Queens website, and that website address is itsinqueens.com. Now, I mentioned the Queens Economic Development Corporation. If you'd like to learn more about business, how to help your business or a friend's business or a family member's business, well, then head right over to the QEDC's website at queensny.org, queensny.org. And when you're there, sign up for the newsletter. And remember, sign up for the It's in Queens newsletter as well. When you visit any place in Queens, snap a photo and share them with us. Make sure to tag us on Instagram or X and use the hashtag It's in Queens. Now remember, if you do this, your photo could become our photo of the week. We're always looking for great images from the borough to celebrate and highlight the diversity and, well, I hate this word, but I'm going to use it, the uniqueness of Queens. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and that's it for this week's It's in Queens podcast.